Daniel 6 is another famous story about Daniel in the den of lions. Daniel wasn't present for the fiery furnace story in chapter 3, but he gets his own similar story right here. There are a lot of parallels. And I believe both these stories parallel the coming wrath of God that will kill the heathen, but we will be delivered from.
It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm.
Well, it turns out that the king for a day from the last chapter ended up being promoted from Belshazzar's vice president to Darius's #1 president. So I guess I should have called him Babylonian king for a day. Now he's the first of 3 presidents over 120 princes ruling the entire kingdom.
Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find none occasion nor fault, forasmuch as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God.
These guys, seemingly out of jealousy, decide to set Daniel up to be killed. He was a man of God, and all the other rulers below him wanted him gone. This will be a prime example of a political conspiracy.
Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors, and the princes, the counselors, and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree, that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions.
All the presidents of the kingdom? Was Daniel part of this consultation? Why do I get the feeling they didn't include him? The law they dreamed up was perfect to stroke the king's ego, getting him to sign the decree. The decree says that nobody can ask anything of anybody except the king for 30 days. Chapter 3 forced everyone to do something that God's people wouldn't do. This law instead forces people to stop doing something that God's people would do. Chapter 3 tried to get people to worship an idol. This chapter is trying to stop prayer to God.
Now, O king, establish the decree, and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree.
Seriously? The king himself can't repeal his own decree? These guys were able to control the king through this kind of policy. Sounds like the beginning of democracy to me. The Greeks will further this concept later on.
Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime.
Daniel knowingly ignored the decree because his allegiance was to God above anything else. He continued with his usual ritual that he had always done, kneeling towards Jerusalem 3 times a day.
Then these men assembled, and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near, and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, That Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day.
The trap worked. Daniel is guilty.
Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him.
The king, who was an unwilling pawn in this conspiracy, liked Daniel. He didn't want him killed, but he was powerless, even as a king, to deliver Daniel from his jury of jealous peers.
Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is, that no decree nor statute which the king establisheth may be changed.
But the jealous peers had passed the right law beforehand to get their way. It still works that way today, by the way. Political manipulation and conspiracies are nothing new.
Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought, and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel.
Alas, the king had to follow the law, but he himself even told Daniel to trust his God. Somehow I don't think Daniel was really worried about dying. He was an old man now and was willing to be killed for his God. But I'll bet he didn't expect a miracle like this.
Then the king went to his palace, and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions?
The king fasted and couldn't sleep. He returns to the den in the morning, hoping God delivered Daniel from the lions.
Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. Forasmuch as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God.
Why? Because he believed in his God. Why else? Because Daniel was innocent and had done nothing wrong against the king. This is a direct parallel to our upcoming deliverance from the wrath of God. We are made righteous by believing God's word, and we follow our king.
And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den.
The punishment they expected Daniel to go through, they went through themselves. This reminds me of Haman in the book of Esther, and of course the guys who were killed while throwing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the furnace. They were all false accusers, and Satan, the original accuser of our brethren, will suffer a similar defeat soon.
Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree, that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast for ever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth, and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions.
This sure sounds to me like a parallel with the upcoming millennial reign, with a resurrected David as king.
So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Daniel was alive during the fall of Jerusalem all the way until King Cyrus 70 years later. Cyrus was the guy who commanded the rebuilding of Jerusalem and the temple. That command is what starts the 70 weeks prophecy coming up next in Daniel's life. Remember, Daniel 7 and 8 were already given to Daniel before the events of chapters 5 and 6 happened. So the next prophetic thing to occur after this Den of Lions incident was Daniel 9's 70-week prophecy.